Good evening, my name is Arlene Herson. The name of the show is Getting to Know You, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Tonight, we're going to get to know a woman who is the epitome of show business. She sings, she dances, she acts, and she does them all so well. She has starred in movies opposite stars like Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Gene Kelly, and Kirk Douglas, just to name a few. She has captivated audiences across the country with her fabulous television specials, and she is absolutely sensational in her one-woman show where she has been getting standing ovations every place she performs. She is the First Lady of Song and Dance, a glittering, glamorous star. She is Mitzi Gaynor, and let's get to know her.
Wow.
Well, it's true.
Wow.
It's true. I'm glad you like it.
I think that's the nicest thing that's ever happened to me.
Okay. Well, I think one of the nicest things that's happened to me has been getting a chance to meet you and
well,
to have you on my show.
Well, that's really sweet of you. Thank you.
But you have been in show business. Actually, what you've done and the kind of career that you had didn't just happen overnight. You've been in show business practically your whole life. You started, I understand, dancing lessons at 4. At 12, you were dancing professionally. Did it all come easy for you? Was it natural for you to just go out there and perform?
Well, I come from a show business family. I think that has a lot to do with it, don't you? I mean, that's a lot of help. You're used to the music, you're used to the discipline, and my aunt was a dancing teacher. She taught me how to dance. My mother was also a dancer. My father was a musician, a crazy Hungarian. So I got a lot of paprikash from him, and I got I guess the joy and the fun of performing from my dad, because my dad was a very outgoing guy. My mother was, as I said, a dancer and a Gemini, so I had two people to contend with there, you know, twins. And my aunt was, well, she wanted me to be all kinds of things. She wanted me to be a dancer, and then I saw Sonia Henney ice skate, so then I wanted to be an ice skating toe dancer. And then I went to the opera, and then I wanted to be an ice skating toe dancing diva, you see. So, I mean, I had all these. Then, of course, when I went to the movies, I wanted to be Betty Grable, who was an ice skating toe dancing diva, Betty Grable with good legs. So show business has always been part of my life. You say, did it come easy to me? I suppose because I had great support from my family, and everybody kind of worked in one direction to have enough money to give me a natural background, not only the lessons and the coaching, but to be able to see wonderful stars and wonderful performers and opera and ballet and so on. It was easy as far as that was concerned. I can't ever remember being out of a job. So I guess, yes, to answer your question.
Okay. which is very lucky. But it's not just all luck, because even with all of the things you're talking about, if you didn't have the talent, I mean, you obviously could be a dancer, you could be a singer, you could be a diva, you could be an actress. You have all of this ability, which I think is very unusual to have all in one person wrapped up in one.
Well, those things were brought out in me a lot by my very first dancing teacher, because my very first dancing teacher believed in recitals. And that meant if there were 4 ladies having luncheon together at a tea room, you schlepped all your costumes and the piano player and did In a Persian Market in your Oriental costume at the age of 7, which was quite a sight, if you want to know. And then she saw funny things in me. I've always had a pretty good sense of humor about, I can't take things too seriously. I wanted to be a really serious ballet dancer. But when I saw everything that you have to go through, it seemed kind of funny to me. Why kill yourself when you can give more joy to more people if you're in musical comedy? And that's, I suppose, I always see the interesting side of something. I used to do like imitate. When I was going to school, I would have my books and my dance case with me, and I would have to wait for the streetcar to go to the dancing teacher. And I would come up and I'd say, would you excuse me, please? This is the boss, the goals, to force and grand. I'm going to take my ballet dancing. And people would look at me like I was absolutely crazy. But I would do it, or else I'd pretend like I was Norwegian. And once I did a thing I was telling my friend Tommy about. It was like 100 degrees outside. I don't know. We were in Chicago, no, Detroit. And it was supposed to be fall. And it was supposed to be cold, but it wasn't. But I had just gotten some earmuffs. So we put on our darling earmuffs. And and we had our books and we were in our ballet cases, and we were going to school, to ballet school. And somebody said, "Kid, what do you got those earmuffs on for?" And I said very simply, "Well, I have an earache, and so does she." So I mean, there's always some kind of showbiz going on.
Look, with all this showbiz going on, with you performing and you having the opportunities you have, were you able to have what we would call a normal childhood?
Well, that depends on what is normal. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, my mother and father both worked.
Yeah.
And my aunt worked. And my mother and father separated when I was very young, so I didn't have a daddy in the house. And my mother looked like Marlene Dietrich and was in business. So, of course, I didn't have, like everybody else's mom, you know. My mother was blonde with bangs, you know, and lipstick and hats with feathers and all of that kind of business. And everybody else's mom looked like a mom, you know. And everything I did was, like I did roller skate, but very badly. I didn't bicycle ride. Number one, we couldn't afford the bicycle, but number two, afraid of like breaking an ankle or something, because I always had one goal in mind. I wanted to be in show business, and I didn't want to go in bits and pieces, you know, with broken arms and legs. But as far as love was concerned, yes, I had I had more than a normal childhood, because my family really loved me. That's about the third time I've said that.
Okay, yeah, and the most important thing, I think, of anybody to have, and that's a good message to take a break on and think about love. Okay, we're speaking with Mitzi Gaynor, and we'll be right back after these messages, so please stay there. We'll be back in a minute. We're back with my very special guest, Mitzi Gaynor. When you were talking about your mother before, you mentioned her sign. You mentioned she was a Gemini.
Yeah.
Actually, astrology seems to be a hobby of yours. How did you become interested in astrology?
Through my mother and my aunt. They used to buy those dime, pulpy kind of magazines with weird pictures on the front, you know. Zodiac, what's going to year? Scorpio, what are you up to this month? And I thought it was kind of fun and kind of naughty, you know, because you're not supposed to know about things like that. And they would sit and they had tarot cards, and they would, you know, play these cards out and so on. And I thought that everything that they said was, you know, the truth, and I kind of, you know, went along with it. This is since I was a little girl. So I'll fade out, things disappear, and then, I mean, you get not interested in things. And I found that I would like certain people, and I didn't know why, and that this person would be the same sign as another person that I liked. So I would get a coterie of friends of all one sign, and I liked the habit patterns that they had, and their manners, their mores, their morals, everything about them I liked. And so I would find out what sign are you? I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so. And they would all be the same people. Then I found that there would be certain people that irritated me, something terrible. I couldn't stand to be around them. They drove me nuts. And I found out that they were a certain sign. And I would like to be able to say that I can walk into a room and say, you're a so-and-so, and you're a so-and-so, and you're a so-and-so. I can't do that. I really can't. But once you tell me your sign, or sometimes I can pick it. You know, if you give me 12 chances, I can.
Okay, right. You get 1 out of 12.
I usually hit it by 12, just like that. You know.
Which is the sign that when you said that most of the people that you liked fell under the same sign? Which is the sign that you found was most positive for you?
Well,
friends?
as far as true, honest-to-God friendship, and as far as a lot of strength of character, is my sign. Naturally, Virgo. Yeah, Virgo, because I'm very picky, and I'm always looking for, you know, perfection in things, and I'm very loyal. And I don't mean to be slapping. I'm a big pain in the neck most of the time, because I want things to be right. I like to work with people that want Taurus. I get along extremely well with Taurus people. I'm crazy about Geminis because they're nuts, you know. I mean, Gemini people, you've got two wonderful people to work with, and you can come in one day and say hi to a Gemini, and they'll say hi. The next day you say hi, and they go hello. So now this one's mad about something. So you have to figure. You can play with them. I like Aries men. Aries ladies get on my nerves. I like Scorpio women, but Scorpio men are too disruptive. That can be a compliment too. I'm married to a double Capricorn, which is obviously the sign. Any book that you read, the best sign for a Virgo is a double Capricorn or a single Capricorn. What sign are you?
Okay, how do you relate? I was just going to, I'm Cancer.
Oh, wonderful sign.
Good, I'm glad
When's
to
your
hear
birthday?
That. July 12th.
It's the 12th. You're right in the center then,
Right,
aren't you?
yeah.
You're very sensitive, aren't you?
Sometimes.
Yeah. And you're a moon child,
sometimes,
so you're more happy at night. You love to laugh.
Yeah, that's true.
And you don't have to be the big cheese to make people laugh, but you really appreciate the sense of humor. You love to get people. You're a wonderful party giver.
Yeah.
Let me see your
Okay.
hand.
Okay. Speaking about all these predictions, do you
Home.
Okay.
You're so into home.
Yes,
this is
true.
true.
Yeah, I never thought that, but now, yes, absolutely. I like all the things you said. But do you believe in these daily horoscope columns that we see in the newspaper?
Because if you read the daily horoscope column and you read your thing, you're supposed to go home and go to bed and not speak to anybody.
Yeah.
Then if you read about Pisces, they're supposed to go home and go to bed and not speak to anybody. They're so general. They're really so difficult. Jack met a man at a party. There's a very famous man who's made quite a lot of money from this horoscope business. And he was at this party. And he was standing over in the corner, and Jack went over, and he said, "How do you do?" And he said, "What's your name?" And Jack said, "My name is Jack Bean." And he said, "I'm sorry." He said, "Jack Bean, Jack and the Beanstalk." He said, "Yes, Jack and the Beanstalk." And he says, "Your sign is?" And Jack said, "Well, I'm a Capricorn. I'm born," and he said, "Oh, wonderful. Jack Bean, double Capricorn. I'll never forget you. I will always," fade out. 2 months later, another party. There's this man. He goes over and he says, "What's your name?" Jack says, "Jack Bean." He says, "Jack what?" He says, "Jack Bean. Jack and the Beanstalk. What sign are you?" So Jack doesn't believe too much in this, I'm afraid.
Okay. Speaking about Jack Bean, we have to share with the audience who Jack Bean is.
Oh, isn't that silly? I always think that whenever I mention, we've been married for so many years, right, Arlene, that I always think that everybody, no. Jack Bean is my husband of 27 long, beautiful years.
Now, how have you managed to combine a successful career, because it's really been dynamite, and a happy marriage? This doesn't happen in Hollywood.
Well, I'd like to say that we really work at it. We used to work at it very hard. Now it sort of comes naturally with us. Anybody who says when they're married that it's a 50-50 proposition's nuts. I mean, it's 110. I give 130, but I mean, that's just me. We love each other a great deal. We're best friends. We understand each other, and we respect each other.
Yeah.
And I respect, as much as it's hard for me, I respect his privacy. Because I know there are times when he likes to be left alone, and the minute, of course, he wants to be left alone, I come and say, "What are you doing?" Blah, 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 blah. You know, so he gives me one of his Jack Bean looks, and I kind of simmer down. But when I'm not on the road, I'm really Mrs. Bean. I cook, I take care of the house, I take care of my child, my 200-pound baby named Jack Bean.
Okay. Okay, that's Jack Bean.
I have to tell you something. Well, for 1 second before we break.
Yeah.
Somebody said, we were doing an interview, and they said, "Do you have any children?" And I said, "Yes, I have one." And they said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yes, I have a 200-pound baby." And they went, "Oh." Like you could actually have a 200-pound baby. And I said, "No, my husband, Jack Bean, you know, men don't grow up, they just get bigger." "Oh, we'll be right back."
Okay. I thought I missed something in my research when you were talking. But he's also your manager. Has there ever been a conflict having your husband, baby manager all to...
Yeah, husband, baby manager, right. Well, sometimes we act like a baby. There has been at times, because when we were first married, he would tell me as a manager not to do certain things. And that would make me cry, because it was my husband telling me not to do something. So he said, "Well, I'll change my hat." So he used to preface things like by saying, "Okay, manager, don't do so-and-so because," and then that would take care of it. Then he would explain, "I'm not doing this to be mean to you, but I'm just telling you this because of business." And we've worked that out pretty well.
Yeah, and obviously it's worked because he started with you way back when you started.
Yeah, he started with me when I was fat, so...
Fat?
Oh, I was fat.
Fat, okay.
Fat.
I can't, when was
How
Mitzi
fat was she?
Yeah, how fat? And when was Mitzi Gaynor ever fat?
When I first met Jack, I weighed 150 pounds.
How tall are you?
5'6.5".
Okay, well that's not really fat.
That's fat.
But that's not...
That's fat when my normal waistline is 22 inches.
Yeah. Well, how would you put... you're a dancer, a singer,
yeah,
a
but
performer.
I was going through all kinds of junk at that time. I was, going through a terrible love affair. And, I'd been suspended by my studio. Not suspended. I was on layoff from my studio. My career wasn't going anyplace. I just let myself... I overate is what I did. I ate like 5 really good meals a day. And I met Jack, and I don't know, when you fall in love with somebody, you're not hungry anymore once you fall in love. You're just blah all the time. And so we were sitting on the couch, and I was going through a fashion magazine, and I saw this wonderful picture of a model called Dorian Leigh, and she was working for Revlon. And she had on maybe you remember that she had the most fantastic dress I've ever seen in my life. It was solid rhinestones to the floor, with a high neck and sleeveless, and had a huge red like a cape, and the polish and nail and lipstick was called Fire and Ice. Does anybody remember that? Yeah, I know everybody remembers that. And I said, "My God, that's a gorgeous dress." And Jack said, "And I said, I'd love to wear that dress, but I'm too sophisticated. I'm not sophisticated enough for it. It's too sophisticated for me. And Jack said, no, it's because you're too fat. That's why. Nobody ever said that to me. I mean, I had been baby fat. I had been kind of round. I'd been middle European. I'd been, you know, that zoftig, those kind of things, but not fat. That next day, I went to a lady who was the masseuse to the stars. She created the hollows in Marlene Dietrich's cheeks and, you know, all those kind of things. And I went to her and she put me on a diet, and in 2.5 months I lost 35 pounds.
Yeah, wow. We have to find that lady. Well, we have to take a
break. She's no longer with us, right?
Okay, well, either fall in love, have Jack Bean tell you you're fat, or find somebody else like it. We all want to lose weight. We have to take a break right now.
Okay.
We're speaking with Mitzi Gaynor. We'll be back in just a minute. We're back with my very special guest, Mitzi Gaynor. This is going so fast.
I know.
It was worth waiting for you. 2 years ago, I had once tried when you were here to have an interview, and you were really worth the wait. But Mitzi Gaynor has become a star and a name that we're all familiar with. But you were born with the name Francesca Mitzi von Gerber.
You forgot the Marlene.
Oh,
yeah,
Marlene.
Oh,
okay.
Certainly.
Right. Where did Mitzi Gaynor come from?
Mitzi Gaynor, my second name is Mitzi, which is a derivative of Mary or Maria. And the Gaynor came from 20th Century Fox. They had, Janet Gaynor was once under contract to 20th Century Fox. As a matter of fact, she was their first big star. And so, I don't know, the powers that be didn't care for Gerber, so that was changed, yeah. Because they asked me about the baby food thing, and I said, no such luck. Or did I own a delicatessen, and I said, also no such luck, so.
Okay, well, with the new name of Mitzi Gaynor, you also starred in your first film at age 16 with the person that you mentioned was one of your idols. You mentioned Betty Grable in the very beginning. I heard that in your first film, you got better notices than she did.
Where'd you hear that?
Yeah, I read in the research that I did that you stole the notices from Betty Grable.
Well, she didn't care too much for that, I'll tell you. She was wonderful.
Competition?
No, I couldn't compete with her. She was Betty Grable, you know. And listen, when you think of the amount of money I spent in Detroit, Michigan with my girlfriend Lena, going, you know, from at 11 o'clock in the morning until they threw us out at night to go and see a Betty Grable picture, I was so in awe of her. But I was a professional, and so whenever I had to work, I worked, you know, and we didn't do any numbers together. We didn't do any numbers. And also I was a newcomer. I think that has a lot to do with it, you know, so-and-so introducing, you know, Mitzi Gaynor. The film went out introducing Mitzi Gerber.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah. And then they called it back because they couldn't really decide what name they were going to give me. And they hadn't asked me yet. So they called me, and they said, what do you think? And my father had just given me some new luggage. I mean, because everybody in movies has luggage, my dear. White leather luggage with the 3 initials, you know. And so they said 2 initials. This is MG, which was Mitzi Gerber. And so since we didn't have to cross out the G and make another one, I said, that's okay.
Oh, that was nice. So that was a good way of keeping your name. Actually, in speaking about competition, you got the leading role in South Pacific, which was the plum of all plums, certainly at that time. I hear that Mary Martin was turned down for the role, that Elizabeth Taylor was turned down for the role. Names like Judy Garland and Doris Day were being considered, and you got that role. Were you aware of the enormous competition that existed to get that particular part?
Well, I was aware of it. I didn't ever think I was going to get it. I mean, I went to apply for another job. I was there, when I met Josh Logan, I had gone up to his apartment to talk about doing the role of the Japanese girl in Sayonara. And on the way up to his apartment, I was told Marlon Brando was going to do the film. I was like this, and he said, but he won't do it unless a real Japanese girl does it, you know. So I thought, well, heck. Well, I'm in the elevator anyway, I might as well say hello. So there was Josh at the front door, you know, and I said, hello, and he said, Nellie. And I said, yes, and he said, oh, you're here to talk about Nellie Forbush and so on and so forth, and he was incredible. He was just so fabulous. And he looked me over, and he knew some of my films and so on and so forth, and would I mind testing for the part? And I was really taken aback because I did not expect all of that.
Mm. Okay, well, fortunately for you and fortunately for him, you decided to stay in the elevator. You have also played against opposite some terrific leading men. Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, Yul Brynner. what were some of them like? I mean, can you give us some of your impressions of what it was like to work with Frank Sinatra?
Well, I loved Frank, especially because I love Frank Sinatra. I mean, I don't know of anybody who doesn't love Frank Sinatra, but I loved him because he didn't start work until 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. And that meant that I didn't have to get up at the crack of 5, you know, the crack of doom. And also, he's very fast and very professional. And he has a good time when he works. We had a wonderful cast, you know, a lot of really good characters in the picture. That was called The Joker as well. I love Gene Kelly because naturally I think he's the best dancer. He's the best my kind of dancer. Donald O'Connor's a better tap dancer, but Gene Kelly is the best my kind of musical comedy dancing. Also, Gene, which I didn't know until a few years ago, is a Virgo, and so is Donald O'Connor a Virgo. So that's why I think a couple of reasons why we got along extremely well together. We understood our work ethic. Bing Crosby I absolutely adored because Bing Crosby was... You see, when you take somebody like me that comes from, okay, a show business family, but small-time show business family, and you put them, after they've been to movies and seen plays, and you know, and these people become your idol, and you get to work with them, it's mind-boggling. It really is, because you know, you always have behind there, gee, am I good enough to be able to work with Gene Kelly? Am I good enough to work with Bing Crosby? Bing Crosby used to call me Brookie.
Why?
Well, he was talking with Phil Harris one day, and I was walking in front of him, and he said to Phil Harris, my, doesn't she look like a little brook trout going upstream? So that's how I got the name Brookie. Wow. So whenever I see anybody that was on that picture, they call me Brookie.
Right. Okay, well, Brookie, we have to take a break.
Okay.
Okay. We're speaking with Mitzi Gaynor, and we'll be right back in just a minute. We're back with my guest, Mitzi Gaynor. With all of the things that you've done, you're now doing something that's really not new because you're doing it for several years, but it's different from the way you started. You have a one-woman act that it is incredible. It started in Vegas. I mean, you really are astounding on the stage. Can you tell us how you developed that act, how you decided that this is what's right for Mitzi Gaynor now in her career?
Well, I suppose it started with the fact that after I did South Pacific, the next 3 films that I did after that were really, although everyone was really good in the films, I'm not putting the films, but they just weren't of the same caliber, and it was coming to me in a vision that the motion picture business was changing. So when I decided to do an act, my first act, which we, as you mentioned, we played Las Vegas, was such an innovation because nobody like me had ever played up there before. We were in Life magazine, we were in Look magazine, we were in Time, we were in Newsweek, which was, you know, these are all kind of thrilling things. The show was 55 minutes long. I had 4 guys that danced and sang with me, song dances and witty stories and bar mitzvahs on the side, I mean, you know, whatever. And lately, since 1973, it's really grown. I now have between 8 and 10, I'm telling you 8 and 10 because you never know how many are going to be well and how many are going to get hurt. You know, we started out with 10 this year, then we went to 9, then we went back up to 10, then we went to 8, then we went up to 9 again. It's, you know, when you're dancing, you know, you're taking your life in your hands. Live performing is not all that easy. It's a family show, our show. It's a show that can go anywhere. I don't play clubs anymore. I decided that I didn't want to do the gambling business anymore. It's kind of hard. And this is 2 hours long. I have about between 12 and 14 costume changes. I do a kind of cute section, the closing of the first act. I play Minnie Mouse talking with the ears and everything and the tail, talking to Walt Disney, who is in heaven, saying, I'm really ticked off at you because you didn't see me as a great dramatic artiste. I could have been another Sarah Bernhardt.
You perform magnificently, you sing, you dance, you're successful, you've got a happy marriage. Is it all really as terrific as it seems? It's
more terrific than it seems because of the fact that you spend so much time with real people. And that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you spent time with us, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed this. Yeah. Boy, it went by fast.
Me too, sure did. I hope that you enjoyed getting to know Mitzi Gaynor. I know that I certainly have, and that you'll join us again next week. Meantime, good night. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.